Hello, welcome to the Liberty Network. Join me as I beat the crap out of this cartoon. Let's begin, shall we?
If you're still not sure what to do about guns, let me explain it to you using this awful
Analogy.
cat. Now before we start, we can all agree that banning cats won't get rid of all cats. And that a majority of people that do own cats are good people. Not every cat is an awful cat. And I happen to love a cute cuddly cat. Ah, look at you.
No, you don't. You don't own a gun. If you owned a gun, you wouldn't be demanding gun control. Because you would know how strict gun control already is in this country. See, I bet most of you gun grabbers don't even know we have background checks. Not only do we have background checks, they're so strict you could lose gun rights over a freaking misdemeanor. So, you tell me how that's not a background check. That seems like one hell of a strict background check to me. But to the left, we don't have background checks at all, even though they're as strict as they possibly could be. That's just how psychotic and ignorant these gun grabbers are. So when it comes time to vote for if we need more gun control, everybody votes that we do because they're ignorant. They don't know that we already have a lot of it, a ton of it, too much of it. But they vote for more thinking we have none. They're voting out of ignorance. If people knew how much gun control we already have in this country, I guarantee people would vote a lot differently. They wouldn't vote for more gun control, they would vote for less. And the only reason why they vote for more is out of ignorance. Point is, ignorance is a common theme among gun grabbers. They always state that we need to ban machine guns. Machine guns are already banned in the United States of America. The manufacture of them has been banned since 1986. To own one, you need to be investigated by the FBI, and it takes about a year. And to get one, it costs about $20,000. And that's if you could freaking find one. Point is, they're banned. You can't buy them without special permission. What's funny is most gun grabbers are voting out of ignorance. They're voting that they want to get rid of AR-15s and AK-47s because they think they're banning machine guns, when they're not. They're seriously banning semi-automatic guns, thinking they're banning fully automatic machine guns. That is bullcrap. They're hurting people that they don't even want to hurt. They're stealing the rights of people that they don't even want to affect. Thirdly, people say, well, we should ban guns entirely, or we should regulate them. Both are terrible ideas. You can make background checks as strict as you want. You can ban guns from anybody under the age of 21. You can make it so they ban your guns if you have simple mental illnesses like bipolar, ADHD, depression. You could ban AR-15s and AK-47s. You could ban all semi-automatic guns, which is what the left-wingers are trying to do right now, which is 90% of guns. Let's just say we let them have that. We let them ban all those guns, and all we have is muskets and shotguns. Well, guess what? Psychotic killers and people that want to do harm to others don't get their guns legally attached to their name. They get them illegally off the black market, and guess what? They avoid that background check altogether. So it doesn't matter if they have a mental illness. It doesn't matter if they're not 21. Guess what? They still get a gun off the black market. And there's going to be plenty of guns on the black market because you just banned all guns or you regulated all guns to death. And people are selling their guns to the black market to make their money back. And guess how many guns there are? There is 500 million guns in the United States of America. 500 million. To say that there's going to be a lot of guns on the black market for criminals to buy is an understatement. So the criminals will have AK-47s and AR-15s with 30-round magazines, 50-round drums, 60-round drums, 80-round drums, 100-round drums. And you just limited yourself, all the law-abiding citizens, to muskets and shotguns. Good job. That's why gun control and gun banning doesn't work.
So cute. Such a cute little kitty.
Stupid awful cat!
That was an awful cat. And that is what we're here to talk about.
What a terrible analogy.
Let's say you're at the movies or church or school when out of nowhere a cat pops up and claws you in the face. Suddenly, you might want to do something about this awful cat.
Do you understand why this is a terrible analogy? A cat has a mind of its own, and it could go ahead and attack people on its own. A gun cannot. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. I say this, and most people don't understand what that means, so let me explain it to you. If I snapped my fingers and made all guns disappear, they never existed, do you think people would still get murdered in masses? Yes! In Nice, France, 86 people were mowed down by a truck. The deadliest mass shooting in history, 49 people died. That's less than 86. On 9/11, 3,000 people were murdered using box cutters. You know what's easier than killing people with an AR-15? Mass poisoning. You could kill a lot more people that way. Mass bombings. Also very effective. London had 500 acid attacks in 2016 alone. Banning the tool doesn't ban the killer. You could ban whatever tool you want. They'll just use a different tool, you moron. That's why gun control is so fucking stupid. It's assuming that it's the only way to kill. People really believe that if you ban guns, the killings will stop. Like the killer will just disappear, or he'll just become a law-abiding citizen for the rest of his life because you banned guns. That's not how it works. You ban guns, he's just going to kill with a different tool. Hell, he might even find a tool that's even more effective. Point is, banning guns won't save a single life because they'll just use a different tool. All you're doing is making it so somebody can't defend themselves. That's all you're doing. In other words, you're costing lives.
Now, I live on a street that had one awful stray cat.
No, you didn't. You did not live on the same street as a mass shooter. And if you did, the gun wasn't the mass shooter. It was the person that owned it. Again, this is a terrible analogy because a gun doesn't have a brain. It can't go and attack people on its own like a cat can.
And when no one did anything about it, one cat turned into dozens, and they were all clawing people in the face.
Yes, a crazy cat lady could own 10 cats, and each of those 10 cats could go and do a mass mauling on their own. So 10 cats, 10 mass maulings. But what can't happen is a gun owner owning 10 guns and having those guns go commit mass shootings on their own. So what's the major flaw of this analogy? This analogy assumes that guns have a mind of their own and can kill by themselves. That's a huge flaw.
It's all because my neighbor, the crazy cat lady, Mrs. Nra, was leaving out giant piles of treats for cats. So you explained to your neighbor that maybe it would be okay to have a couple rules for these cats. Now
Again, you can make any rule that you want. Criminals won't obey it because they're going to bypass all that when they buy the gun off the black market. You can make it to where you have to be 50 to buy a gun. You can make it to where guns are pea shooters that are just 22 LR. It doesn't matter. They're going to end up getting AR-15s, AK-47s illegally off the black market, and you won't affect them at all. The only people you'll be affecting is law-abiding citizens, and you'll be making it so they can't defend themselves from these people with AR-15s and AK-47s.
You would hope that a good neighbor would understand. But she freaks out and yells at you that you're trying to ban all cats.
You guys are currently trying to pass a bill to ban all semi-automatic weapons. Semi-automatic weapons are 90% of guns. What will remain is shotguns basically only, and repeaters. That's it. You're trying to ban hunting rifles right now. Don't tell me you're not trying to ban guns. That's bullshit.
You're just like, hey, I just don't want to get clawed in the face.
I want to get ran over. I want to get my throat slit. I want to get acid poured in my face. I want to get mass bombed. Like any of these alternatives are any better. No matter what item you ban, a killer will find a way to kill you if they want to kill you. The only way to stop somebody from killing you is being able to defend yourself. And the best way to do that is with a gun because a gun is an equalizer. It makes a 90-pound woman that's old be able to defend herself against a 250-pound rapist.
I'm not banning anything. And they tell you maybe if you had your own cat, you'd feel better about it. And you say, I do have a cat. It's that cute cuddly one in my window.
Don't listen to this guy. He does not own a gun. That's bullshit. If he owned a gun, he would know how restrictive background checks already are. And guess what? He wouldn't be calling for more gun control.
That's not the problem. The problem is these... Ah! God damn it! So as you can see...
What's funny is that the gun in the windowsill, I imagine, is supposed to be a handgun. He's saying handguns are okay, but these damn black rifles, these are the killers. Well, guess what? Rifles are barely used in mass shootings. It's fucking handguns that are used mostly. Rifles kill less than fucking knives.
We have a cat problem. And all anyone wants is to put some rules in place to stop the excessive amount of awful cats on the street. But instead, I'm looking out my window and seeing even bigger, scarier lions, tigers, cheetahs, and AR-15s. That's not the same as a regular cat. But
it's funny that you're saying handguns are cool when they're used a lot more in mass shootings. It's funny that you're saying hunting rifles are cool when they're unbelievably more powerful than an AR-15. Unbelievably more powerful. A .308 beats the shit out of a 223 5.56 that comes out of an AR-15. Beats the shit out of it. And you tell me that the AR-15 is the one that you want to ban, but you want to keep the hunting rifle. That is laughable. The hunting rifle is way more deadly. If you ban the AR-15s, you're going to ban the fucking hunting rifles too. And we know that because that's what you're trying to do now with your assault weapons ban. You're trying to ban all the hunting rifles. And here's some reference, okay? There's 500 million guns in the United States of America. 320 million people. There's way more guns than people. And out of that 320 million people, which is a hell of a lot of people, there's only 32 gun homicides a day. By the way, gun homicides just mean that somebody died with a gun. It could be a good guy killing a bad guy. And most of that is that. So, realistically, at the very most, there is 15 gun murders a day in America. 15. Out of 320 million people. That is not a lot of people. In comparison, there is 1,300 people that die a day in the United States of America by smoking. Tell me what's worse. 15 gun murders a day in America or 1,300 people that die by smoking a day in America? You tell me which one's a bigger problem. You tell me which one has more uproar. It's ridiculous that we're even having this conversation about guns. Don't get me wrong, we should have banned smoking either. We have a little something called freedom. But the point is, this is ridiculous.
Is a regular cat. But my crazy cat lady neighbor wants you to think it's okay for everybody to own a cheetah. What? No. Would you stop it, Mrs. Draw? Really? And sure, there are people out there with the proper knowledge and training to understand the responsibilities of owning a cheetah. But when the cheetahs keep ending up in schools clawing kids in the face, I don't think the answer is to put more cheetahs in the school.
Again, a cheetah will kill somebody on its own. A gun won't. That's a big difference. Secondly, the cheetah is supposed to represent AR-15s. We're not suggesting that teachers conceal carry AR-15s. We expect them to conceal carry handguns if they're properly trained, which you said handguns were perfectly innocent, wholesome weapons a couple minutes ago. Okay, let's put this in perspective. A teacher is basically a babysitter. When you hire a babysitter, do you expect the children to protect themselves? Or do you expect the babysitters who are completely capable of protecting your children to protect your children? I'd expect you would want the babysitter to protect your children. So why isn't it the same for teachers?
I don't think the best way to buy a cheetah is to walk into Petco and go, hey, I want a cheetah. Oh, okay, here you go. And I think we all...
See, I told you, he doesn't own a gun because he thinks that there's no background checks. What he just showed is somebody getting a fucking AR-15 without a background check. That's not how it works. See, I knew he wasn't a gun owner. See, this is based out of ignorance. All left-wing gun-grabbing propaganda is.
All can agree that it's impossible to get rid of all cats. Which is good, because there's tons of cute, cuddly ones. But let's make some rules that limit and prevent how many awful cats wind up on our street. Less awful cats means less people clawed in the face. Sure.
That's funny, because in the United States of America, gun ownership has skyrocketed, and gun deaths have fallen tremendously. Look up the stats. They're in the description box. So no, more guns doesn't equal more death. In fact, more guns equal less death because people are able to defend themselves. Also, banning guns doesn't ban the killer. The killer will still exist. He'll still kill people. Again, a killer would just use a different weapon. They would blow you up in the face. They would acid your face. They'll run over your entire face with a truck. They will slice your face open with a knife. They'll poison your face hole. Banning a tool doesn't stop a killer. They'll just use a different tool.
Less awful cats means less people clawed in the face. Sure, they still might get attacked by a dog or abducted by aliens, but let's handle this one problem at a time. And
you say, let's worry about this one item at a time. Okay, let's just ban all objects then. Guess what? people will murder you with their fucking fists, with their bare hands. Banning objects doesn't ban the killer, you moron!
This won't solve all cat problems. There's a good chance it'll help with a lot. Like, they had a similar cat problem over on Australia Street. And after they put rules in place, good people still owned good cats, but no one has gotten clawed in the face in over 20 years. And
what's funny is he stated earlier in the video that he doesn't want to ban guns. But what he just stated right now is that Australia had reasonable regulations. They did a full-out gun ban. That's precisely what he wants. But this prick isn't honest enough to tell you that. Okay, what they're referring to is that they banned guns in Australia, and the gun crime has dropped since they've done so. But what they don't tell you is that gun crime was dropping before they banned guns. They were always dropping. It had nothing to do with banning guns. And guess what? People still commit crime over there with guns in Australia because the criminals never gave up their guns. You say nobody got clawed in the face. People get shot in Australia all the fucking time. That is bullshit. Funny how they get shot when guns are banned. And you may say, oh, well, if guns never existed at all, nobody would ever get shot. That may be true, but they're going to be killed in other ways. The killers, again, will still exist in society, and they'll still kill. They'll just use different methods. It doesn't matter if they kill with the gun or not. Gun deaths are not the only bad deaths. All deaths are bad. And the only way to prevent people from killing is being able to defend yourself. And the best way to do that is with a gun. See, people in Australia, they don't have that luxury because they're disarmed. When somebody comes up with a shotgun and tries to rob their store, they're fucked. They're going to die if the killer decides to kill them. You see, that problem doesn't really exist in America because if you try to rob a store in America, there's a good chance that that store owner might own a gun. So that deters the criminal from ever doing it.
Teenagers on my street that are fed up with that cat lady, I'm really proud of you for being so brave.
I love how clear this video is. It doesn't demonize the mass shooters, right? It demonizes the law-abiding citizen with 10 guns. And it states that each of the 10 guns is going to commit a mass murder on its own. That's not how it fucking works. Guns are not like cats. They can't go maul people on their own.
I hope that explains to you the problem we're having with guns.
Alright, this motherfucker's complete. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe. Also, smash that like button, and most importantly, go to the links in the description box and subscribe to some of them. Subscribe to my Twitter. Subscribe to my secondary channel, because this channel is about to get shut down by YouTube. And most importantly, check out my merchandise, because that shit is awesome. Alright, I'll catch you on the next episode.